For this video, we will be now making a water combat encounter battle mat for Dungeons and Dragons. Here's the supplies you're going to need. A blue towel, normal pair of scissors. We're going to have some various paints, mostly white paint, and various sizes of brushes. It's really important when you begin now to iron out your towel to make sure all the creases are out so that your paint sets in a nice, even fashion. Once we've done that, we're going to go ahead now and cut off this embroidered part of the towel. What this does is it draws the towel together and makes it thinner on the edges. So we're going to cut that off and go ahead and make sure we can stretch the towel out so that we get a nice, normal, evenly distributed size for the whole towel. And then we'll go ahead and lay it sideways. We're going to make our waves now at an angle to make it a little more interesting. So we're going to start out with some emerald green paint. It's a really nice, beautiful color, almost like a sapphire. It gives a really nice glow, which would give an effect of churned water. So we're going to go ahead now with a fairly thin brush, and we're just going to make some slightly curved brush strokes across the towel. Try to make them not completely uniform, not completely even, a little bit random. And once they go ahead and dry, we'll go ahead and put a second layer on there just to make sure that it sticks out. The blue towel, the dark towel, absorbs a lot of the colors. When we're finished there, we'll go ahead and make sure everything is dry. And we've got our first layer down, and then we can go ahead and add our white paint on top of this. We'll start with a piece of paper and a bit larger brush, something of a dry brush here. And to begin with, we will put on quite a light coat. We're going to do kind of a dry brushing technique. And you can see how it comes across and catches the texture on the towel in a very nice way. So go ahead and just dry brush over that emerald green. Try to cover up as much as possible, but you can see here that as we do that, there's still some of the green will stick out and give that nice churned water effect. We're going to go ahead and brush downwards as well, as if the wind is blowing the wave and the white caps are blowing outward a little bit. And here's how it looks when we are all finished up with the main part. Now we're going to go back with a smaller brush once everything is dried up, and we're going to go ahead and highlight the edge of the waves. You can see here we're using a bit more paint, not so much a dry brush technique here, but more directly applying the paint, and just in a more or less a small line at the very edge of the waves. And when we are done with that, we'll go ahead and add a little bit more, a second coat there, and also do a bit of the dry brushing to draw the waves out to elongate them into some of that other blue area. Here's our close-up look. You can see the beautiful texture that you use when you have a towel. And as we pull out further and further, you see how it gets fuzzier and fuzzier, like a wave would look. And here's our setup now with some figurines down and some other terrain. It has a beautiful effect, really sharp in contrast to the brown dock. It gives a really nice effect. If you're going to be having a dock setup or some sort of port city in your D&D combat, this is a good way to get a cheap and easy effect for your combat scene that looks pretty good. And we went ahead also laid down a few templates for ships to see how it would look if we had some ships docked in the port. And that looks also really good. So all in all, a pretty effective technique, very quick, very cheap, but it gives you the effect of wind-blown waves that looks actually quite beautiful. Well, thank you for joining us here today at Grey Army Gaming for the future of fantasy.